Hi, and welcome to More Human, More Resources, the HR podcast for entrepreneurs. I'm Vicki Brown, your host and CEO of Vidamaneo Enterprises. As a serial entrepreneur, I understand that having the right expert help has been critical to my success. That's why I'm dedicated to telling you, in plain language, what's going on in the world of HR that might impact your business and what you need to do about it, with real actionable tips to help you master that list of must-dos and grow your leadership muscle. First things first, the information contained in this podcast is provided for general purposes only and is not to be considered legal advice. Your decision to adopt or not adopt any practice or procedure mentioned in this podcast is solely yours, and we bear no responsibility for the outcome. We urge you to always consult legal counsel and other appropriate licensed professionals. And with that, let's get into the show. You're listening to Season 5, Episode 19. You know, passion and emotion, well, they might seem like the same thing, but in leadership, they're not. Passion will move you forward, while emotion is going to hold you back. Now, I know that might sound a little harsh at first, especially if you're someone who pours your heart into your business. And to be clear, this isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. I'm not telling you to bottle things up or pretend you're made of stone. What I am saying is that passion and emotion are not the same. And when you blur the lines between them, your leadership takes a hit. Passion is steady. Passion is that deep commitment to what you're building. It's why you get up early and stay late. It's the fuel behind your goals, your values, your vision. Passion drives consistency. It can be shared with your team, and it creates momentum. Emotion, on the other hand, is unpredictable. It comes in fast, hits hard, and if you're not paying attention, it can steer you in the wrong direction. Emotion tends to take up space, and if you're not managing it, your team ends up managing you. When you're leading a team, especially as a new or first-time leader, that difference matters, and it matters a lot. Let's start with passion. When you lead with passion, you bring energy and clarity. You communicate purpose. You make decisions that are rooted in values, not moods. That gives your team something to trust. They can see where you're going. They understand why it matters. That kind of leadership is contagious, in a good way. Your passion becomes a compass. It keeps you on track when things get hard. It helps you push through doubt. Passion gives your team a reason to believe in you, especially when resources are tight or when things feel uncertain. Now, let's talk about what happens when you lead from emotion. When emotion runs the show, your team feels it. Whether it's stress, frustration, anxiety, or defensiveness, those emotions have a way of leaking into the room, and when they do, everything else takes a back seat. Your team starts reacting to you instead of responding to the work. People get cautious. They hesitate. They try to read your tone or mood before they take action. And that's not leadership. That's emotional babysitting. And it creates a culture where people hold back. They wait. They second guess. Why? Because your emotional volatility is now part of the job. Whether you realize it or not, they're spending time trying to stay out of your way instead of leaning in. Now, you may think you're being transparent or real, but when you let your feelings dictate your decisions, you lose credibility, and that's where the damage starts to pile up. Now, let's be real. We're human. No one's perfect. You're going to feel things. Some days, things are going to hit you hard. But the difference between a passionate leader and an emotional one is self-regulation. Emotional intelligence is what helps you find the middle ground. It's not about ignoring your emotions. It's about understanding them, knowing when they're useful, and knowing when to pause. You can be passionate and still show restraint. You can be honest about challenges without spiraling. You can care deeply without making everything personal. Here's a practical example. Say you're frustrated with an employee's performance. If you go into that conversation fueled by emotion, frustration, disappointment, or even anger, you're likely to come across as reactive. You'll say too much or not enough. You might make it about you instead of the issue. And that employee, They won't hear the message. They'll just feel the tension. But if you lead with passion, your commitment to high standards, to helping people grow, to protecting the team, well, now you've got something solid to stand on. You can address the issue directly, calmly, and constructively. You've channeled your feelings into action, not reaction. Your team doesn't need a perfect leader, but they do need a steady one. Someone who stays clear-headed when things go wrong. Someone who doesn't make the whole room tense when they're having a rough day. Someone whose passion is consistent, not just something that shows up when things are going well. That's the difference I want you to hold on to. Passion is about mission. Emotion is about mood. As a leader, your job is to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature. You create the environment. You shape the energy in the room. If you're up and down all day, your team can't find their footing. So, how do you put this into practice? Well, first, pause before you react. Just a moment of space between feeling and action gives you more control. You don't have to respond to everything right away. Second, ground yourself in the purpose. When something frustrating happens, ask yourself, what's the bigger picture? What matters here? That resets your focus. And third, don't confuse venting with leading. There's a time and place to let things out, but your team isn't your therapist. They're looking to you for stability. And finally, reconnect with your passion regularly. That might mean revisiting your goals, checking in with your values, or having conversations that remind you why you started this journey in the first place. Passion doesn't run on autopilot. It needs attention. If you're a new leader, it's easy to think being passionate means showing all your feelings. Well, it doesn't. Leading with passion means staying connected to what matters most and making decisions from that place, even when things get emotional, especially when things get emotional. So the next time you're about to speak, decide who's in charge, your passion or your emotion. One builds trust, the other breaks it. And your team deserves a leader that they can count on, not just one that they have to figure out. If you found this information helpful, please leave a review and tell a friend. Thanks for spending the time. Until next week, same time, same place.